Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I'm wearing a bandana. Just leave me alone. Let me wear this, okay? Just leave me alone, all right? Today we're going to be talking about something that historically has not gone super well for me. And so maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. But in actuality, I've always felt that this is a very, very, very interesting topic and one that clearly has very many different sides of how people feel. And it's just one that I'm always interested to talk about. And so today we're going to be talking about this this TikTok that was uploaded by Queen Beast Says. This is not her right here. She's reacting to this TikTok. But it's kind of goes about talking about fat people and dating and what that's like. And so let's just get into it.
Not skinny, I can't give that to them. So they don't take the time.
To add my 2 cents, I experienced that moment where I was really head over heels for my housemate. This is when I was in a larger body and I thought he liked me too, and I made a move and he rejected me. And I remember being really hurt and confused because I believed it was fairly clear he liked me. Anyway, some time passes and I end up losing a lot of weight on an extreme and very dangerous diet. And he comes to me, he starts flirting with me, he tells me he really likes me, he tells me that he thinks I'm beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, I knew it. I knew you thought all this. And then the hindsight was, oh, hold on, I'm the same person. Same personality, same humor, same hobbies.
This is a really tough situation. And candidly, I would say that I've never experienced this. Like, I'm not sure if I ever told a girl I liked her when I was bigger. I was always too afraid of that. And that's to a point of that she makes in the video that I really did feel not worthy of love. Like, that is something that I've talked about before, but I was really, really insecure when I was bigger. And so the thought of like actually putting myself out there was just, yeah, it was too scary. And so but also I've never dealt with like really liking someone and they rejected me or something, and then after I had lost the weight, them like coming back, right? Like I never had that experience. Like most of the people that I was like close to when I was heavier, right? Like, you know, in high school and a little bit after, I don't really talk to very much anymore. And so I don't have those worlds colliding like it seems that she did, right? So personally for me, I never dealt with this exact kind of experience.
Same, I don't know, intelligence level, like I was the same person, but I was just in a thinner body. And I realized that my worthiness of being someone's partner had increased tenfold because I was in a smaller body.
Yeah, and I mean, the sad truth, in my opinion, is that some people, like, how someone looks is very, very important to them. And, you know, if they're not attracted to someone, they're not attracted to someone. She kind of goes on and says that she believes he was even when she was bigger and stuff. I'm not going to argue whether or not that's the case, but like at the end of the day, I understand, and trust me, I get it. I used to get very down on myself because I didn't feel like I was attracted to other people, but like at the end of the day, I can't force someone to be attracted to me, and I'm not going to want to be with someone if they're not attracted to me, right? Like I want someone to want to be there, not be there because they feel like they have to be. It's a tough situation, man. Like I don't think that there's one answer to this type of situation.
And that really hurt to know that this person who, you know, I lived with for a year, I really, really liked, and I thought knew me, he didn't like me enough to see past my body.
I really struggle with this because, like, does that make him a bad person? And I think like a lot of the comments will say something like, you know, he's a terrible person, you know, good thing you got away from him and stuff. But like that might be the case by all means. I don't know the guy, but like, does the fact that like, you know, they got along, it seemed like they lived together at some point, that there were a lot of interests they probably shared. She obviously liked him for a reason, like maybe I don't know, like, but just because he wasn't attracted to her when she was larger, does that make him a bad person? I don't know the answer. Like my first inkling is like, not really. It might make him a little shallow, but like, is that the worst thing to be? I don't know.
And it was only when I was in a more societally acceptable body did he make a move. And it's because I would have given him something to gain from that. Like, to be on my arm would have been, you know, maybe a boost for his societal value as well, right? And it's realizing that, like, you know, you could be the smartest, coolest, funniest person inside, but if your body doesn't fit, then, you know, people don't want to be with you. And that, of course, impacts your self-worth, how you perceive yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Like, to say that it shouldn't, right, that's not going to be something that impacts you is ridiculous. That is 100% something that is, you know, it's hard to deal with, especially like when, you know, I've talked to a lot of people that are younger, right? Like in high school and stuff. And a lot of times, like the almost the main reason is because, you know, they want to be attractive, or they want to get that person to like them. And that's a big reason why people might lose weight. I don't think that makes them bad people for wanting to do that. It's just like, at the end of the day, it's really tough, because I think people are attracted to others for a myriad of reasons. And I've talked about this myself, and I got into a lot of hot water when I kind of talked about, like, I'm not sure if I would ever date someone that was, you know, the size that I was before. And people got really mad at me. And I understand, like, I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, but there's a lot of things that go into what I would want in a partner. And one of the main things is, like, being able to do the things that I do and enjoy the things that I do when it comes to, like, fitness and working out and moving your body, going on these long walks, stuff like that. And yes, of course, there can be someone that is working on their, you know, their health journey and stuff like that. And I'm not saying, like, you have to be, like, stick figure perfectly, have the perfect body for me to find you attractive. But it's like, when there's such a large discrepancy in lifestyle, it's really hard for me to even, like, consider that a match, right? Like, this is something that's really, really common when a couple, one person gets VSG or some sort of weight loss surgery and the other person doesn't. A lot of times, yes, one person might be massively overweight and one person isn't, so one person needs the surgery, but the surgery comes with a lot of lifestyle changes that also impact both partners. And a lot of times, this partner down here that maybe didn't gain the weight, they still liked living the lifestyle that this person that did gain the weight had to live, or did live, right? Eating a lot of food, not being very active, all of those things. And when this person kind of starts changing their lifestyle, this person might not be interested in doing that, and people split. It's very, very, very common in the weight loss surgery space. And so there's a lot more to attraction than just what the person looks like. But I do think that, you know, seeing someone that might be, you know, just a very different body type to what you have, a lot of things, there might just not be a lot of interest. Again, I'm just saying in general, it seemed like these people were pretty close and they had a lot of interest and all of those things, right? So again, every situation is different.
And then there's also this idea of, like, how we treat plus size people is horrendous. It's so abusive. I mean, just go look at any plus size content creators' comment section and you will see the abuse. And as, you know, if you are looking for a partner, maybe you would want to avoid one that gets continuously shat on by society, because you don't want to be associated with that. You don't also want to be in that firing line.
That's a really interesting question or proposition, something that I never really thought of, but it might just be because, you know, when I was, like, dating most of the time, it was a little bit before Instagram and things like this were at the level that they are now. I never really considered the person's online life when I was, like, dating them. And so it's just something I never really thought about.
So on one hand, I do get it. It's shit, but I get it. And I think also how we perceive attraction to plus size people, like, society just flat out disagrees that this could be true, because we either say, oh, well, they're only with that person because of money, or, you know, they've got something over their head, or they demonize it, they fetishize it, going, well, they can only find that person attractive because they have a fat fetish. So, like, it's just, we've built a world where having a romantic relationship with a fat person is just demonized beyond all hell, and the people who suffer are the fat people who don't get to, you know, have the romantic love which we have put on this pedestal as the ultimate goal of all of our lives.
Yeah, I think that That at the end is something that I agree with. Like, I'm not sitting here saying I disagree with everything that is being said. I think that last point I agree with completely. It is a bummer that if someone is ever with someone that's bigger, it's like, what do they have on him? What's the secret? Like, why is he with her? Why is she with him? What, like, does he have a lot of money? Is there, like, it's almost like it's impossible to see someone that is in a straight size body that isn't attracted to someone else that's in a straight size body, right? And so she actually went on and did a response to one of the top comments in this TikTok, and so I want to go over that as well. So this top comment says, well, yes, he wasn't attracted to you. It doesn't mean you're not worth anything. It just means he wasn't attracted to your body. And I don't disagree with that comment. I think, like, if someone, I don't think that makes you, like, that person a bad person, and I don't think it makes you worthless if someone isn't attracted to you at a certain body size. Like, I don't know. It's just tough. Like, I don't want to sit here and blame anyone. It's just these things are complex, and, like, I don't necessarily say that it's someone's fault or someone's bad and someone has to be good. It's like people are just people, and we like different things, right? But I think she did a great job kind of replying to this as well.
I'm not sure if it was your intention, but this read to me that you think that maybe this is the only experience I had which made me feel unworthy of romantic love or sexual desire. And I don't know. I didn't get that out of that comment personally. Love it if it was my only example, but unfortunately it's not. I have a catalogue of experiences I could be pulling from. And then your second part, it just means he wasn't attracted to your body. To make this really, really clear, he was attracted to me when I was fat. The reason why I made a move was because I was so sure I knew what the outcome was going to be. Because based on his behaviours, his actions, what he'd said to me, I was so sure that that's what we both wanted. And I thought the reason why he hadn't made the move himself was because, maybe he was shy, timid, I don't know, didn't know how to verbalise it. So I was like, well, I'll do it. And so when he rejected me, I was really confused because it just didn't work with everything that has happened before that moment.
I don't really have much to say here because obviously this is how she felt. I can't discredit that that's how she felt. Obviously, I haven't heard the other side of the story, so I don't really know. I'm just going to take it for face value, I guess.
And so when he did come back after I'd lost the weight, my initial reaction was excitement and happiness. And then after a while, it dawned on me. I realised that, it's because I'm now thinner. I had more societal value being in a thinner body, and he now wanted to be associated with me. And that's ultimately what we're talking about. It's people's shame or avoidance of wanting to be associated with plus size people, especially to be attracted to plus size people, to fat people.
This is definitely something that can be difficult. Like, I remember when I was bigger, I would constantly, like, if I was going to, this is something that I did, and this might be sad to some of you, but this is just the truth. Like, if I was going to meet a group of friends or meet new people, and I was going with the people I already knew, a lot of times I would ask, like, do they know that I'm fat? You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, do they know? And then especially, like, when I'd be, like, going out with friends, they'd be like, yeah, there's this girl as well that maybe you could talk to, because, my friends would be dating some of these girls, and I would be, like, tagging along kind of thing. And I'd always, in my head, and I think I asked a couple times, I would just think, but does she know that I'm fat? You know what I mean? Like, because I didn't want to surprise anybody. Like, I wanted it to be very clear. Like, people knew what they were getting when I was showing up, right? Like, that was something that was important because I had experiences where someone didn't know and it was clear they were surprised, and maybe they would even try and talk to me and try and help me or whatever. And that's never fun. Like, I never wanted to deal with that, right? So a lot of times I would, like, do they know? Like, what am I walking into here, right? Because that was important to me because I was, like, really, really big, right? And it was like, if I showed up and you didn't know me, like, people looked. That's just how it was. That was just how I lived for a long time, right?
Because, like, another experience I have is that I was the secret. Now, I know a lot of fat people unfortunately have this experience of being the secret. Finding a partner, or having a partner who wants who is attracted to you and wants to indulge in that attraction to you, wants a bit, you know, a piece of you, but doesn't want anyone else to know. You know, wants, you know, doesn't want the public to know, doesn't want, you know, their mates to know, doesn't want their family to know. And that does wonders for the self-esteem. I think about it from a place of like sympathy. I think it's really sad. I think it's really sad that, you know, obviously my most sympathy comes to the fat people who are being used for someone else's needs and then not getting the respect they deserve. That's obviously where my number one empathy and sympathy goes. But then when I think about like, oh my God, but you feel so unsafe and so insecure in who you are as a person that you're so scared of what other people will think about you just because you have a fat partner, that you're someone that you actually fancy, maybe love, but you don't want to be associated with that person because of how other people view you. So you'll just deny yourself of that. That's apparently a more palatable option than actually.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I think that I definitely would feel for that person if they felt so like attached to maybe how society would view them that they would be afraid to, you know, seek out the thing that they truly want. I don't have an answer for that. I think that's a very, very complicated kind of problem of like the value you put in your relationship and how that relationship boosts your value in other people's eyes and how like all of that stuff, right? Like that's just like, I think that's more than I can even feel, than I would even claim to have understanding on, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm some expert on that stuff, but I definitely can understand where she's coming from here. Not saying I agree with everything that's being said, but I can understand having those feelings, especially with the life that she's lived, right? Being bigger, losing the weight, and then becoming bigger again.
Just having a romantic connection with a fat person. Like, it's bizarre. And if you have family who you feel wouldn't, I don't know, approve of your partner because they are fat, then, I mean, they're not good people. So I am in a relationship, 9 years, we get married next year. I'm so fucking excited. I am going to be the hottest fat bride you've ever fucking seen. I am so excited. But we had a friend who is an arsehole. Was an arsehole. We're no longer friends. You'll understand why in a sec. And he had a new girlfriend. And so the friend rings Graham to ask for Graham's advice on how Graham told his parents that I was fat. Because he needed to tell his parents that his new girlfriend was a bigger person.
So this one's tough because I can understand being hurt by that, but also like for me, that speaks a lot more for that person's parents. I don't know this person at all, but like that speaks a lot more for that person's parents than it does them. Like we can't really choose our parents. So like I can understand like being in the position of being like, I like this person and I know my parents are going to be a jerk about them, but I still want to like be with them. So I'm going to tell my parents. And like, does that make the person that's trying to make it work a bad person, right? Like, you know, your parents are assholes, right? You know that they're going to have something to say. And so like, how can I alleviate that? Like, that's the way I see it. Again, I don't know the person. Apparently he was a jerk and not a great person. And so, again, I'm just saying like, I feel like the blame falls more on the parent than it does the person that's trying to make it work, right? Because they're still dating this person that's overweight. So they're obviously still okay with being with that person, but they're just afraid of how their parents are going to react. That's the way I see it. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but.
And apparently that's something that he just assumed everyone would have to warn their parents about.
So again, I don't see it like that. I see it as he just knows his parents are going to think something of it, right? Again, maybe she worded it differently and I'm not understanding it, but that's what I get out of it. I don't get it like him being like, oh, if you're with a fat person at all, everyone's parents is going to want to know that. It seems like I know my parents and I know they're jerks. So how do I get through this, right?
And I'm like, well, why would you need to warn them? Like, what's their reaction? What's their reaction if you didn't warn them, if you just went in cold with your fat girlfriend? Would they be disappointed, disgusted? Would they just flat out reject her?
Yeah, that could possibly happen, right? And so, like, trying to ease that over, again, it sucks that the parents are like that, but like, if you don't want to just completely not talk to your parents anymore, you try and make it work, right? A lot of people deal with crappy in-laws. Like, it's just, some people are crappy, but like, do you just like completely cut off all interaction with your parents because they're not the best people in the world and they can be kind of judgmental, right? I don't think the answer is like, I'm not talking to you anymore if you don't accept this person, right? Like, I think eventually if they won't accept after a while, then yes, I think that it's okay. Like, if you're together and you're like, you know, we're going to build a life together and the parents will never accept it, then yeah, eventually it's like, okay, it's not going to work. But initially, like, try and make it work. That's the way I see it, at least.
Would they be mean? Would they be bullies? And these are not good people. I don't care if they're your fucking parents. They're not good people. The power of influence is unreal. You know, if you feel like your parents aren't going to approve of your romantic choices, or your friends are going to disapprove, or I don't know, anyone could like just disapprove, like your workmates, it will or could dissuade you from pursuing a relationship with someone you actually genuinely fucking like. And how pathetic is that? The reason why I think it's so important we speak about this is because when you're a fat person, you are made to feel so othered. And sometimes when we have these experiences, you can be made to feel like you're overreacting or being overly sensitive or reading too much into something. And unfortunately, like, reading the comments, you realize that, like, oh, this is, unfortunately, seems to be a really common experience for fat people. And there is something so validating in realizing that you're not alone. And I hope through these videos you feel less alone. It fucking sucks. I also want to just let you know, fucking say to that, fucking sucks.
Yeah, so those are the two videos, and I just thought it was very interesting. I thought she did a great job kind of explaining the situation. Like I said, I agree with a lot of what she says. There are just certain things that I won't even say disagree with, but maybe we're just not on the same exact page. I've just always felt this is a very interesting topic and something that I get asked about a lot. Like, I've had a lot of questions of people asking me, like, what was it like dating before and now, and all this stuff. And like, the truth is, for me, I just didn't have enough self-esteem to really even get myself out there. And since I've lost the weight, obviously things have become easier. Do I think that means that all the people I've been with have been shallow? And no, I don't blame someone for not liking me when I was at my heaviest. Like, that might seem like I hated my previous self. I don't feel that way, but I understand now that I wouldn't want to date me when I was at my heaviest, because the lifestyle that I was leading, the things that I was interested in, the things that I did day to day are so different than what I do now. And so, I don't know. I just struggle with this because I feel like, personally, if you say like, hey, you know what, I don't think that I would date someone that's, you know, significantly larger than me. I've had so many people comment and say like, you're shallow, or you're a bad person. And I don't know, maybe I struggle to come to terms with that. Maybe I am a bad person. I don't really know, but that's just how I feel. And so I'm genuinely curious what people think down in the comment section down below. If you've had similar experiences, to me, am I being a jerk? Like, I'm really not trying to be. That's just how I feel. And so I would love to know what y'all think down in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't say anything about my bandana, and I'll see you next time. Peace.